I'm terrified of buying sliders, especially the pricier ones, because what if they end up not even being good? I've been using Zeapon's Micro 2 slider for the past few years, and I've been quite happy with that. This being the Micro 3 means it really should only be better. I've been using this for about the past month now, and I would say it does in fact live up to its price range, and maybe even over-delivers a little. When you purchase the Micro 3, you'll see it's available in quite a number of configurations. There are 3 lengths to choose from. Here I've got the E1000, which is the longest variant. Physically, it's about 72 centimeters long, but it's actually got a travel distance of over 1 meter because of the double distance design. Now, the numbers aren't exactly ×2, but point is you still get a travel distance which exceeds the physical length of the slider. One thing to take note is, due to that long travel, you'll want some pretty wide legs to support the slider if you're going for a single tripod setup, like I'm right now. It does ship with support rods included, and the ability to use these is actually one of the most notable revisions from the Micro 2 to the Micro 3, because this time you've got a moving rail sitting on a base rail, which means even though it's a double distance slider, you still get 2 mounting points on the sides in addition to that center mounting point. Most double distance sliders only give you a single mounting point in the center. This also means if you want maximum stability and want to support it using 2 tripods, it's possible with the Micro 3. There's also these built-in feet which swing out when you want to just place the slider on a flat surface. The Micro 3 is also offered in M and E variants. They're actually the exact same slider, but the E variant comes with a motor. One thing I really appreciate about the design of this is how easy it is to change between motorized and hand-driven modes on the Micro 3. On its own, it's an almost perfectly smooth slider. Pushing it by hand feels like pushing butter gliding on glass. There's a continuously variable dial here, which lets you tweak the amount of dampening, but even at minimum, there's still a fair amount of drag. You can't quite exactly turn it down to 0 resistance. There is also a brake, which can be engaged regardless of what position the cart is in. Great for not pinching your fingers when picking up the slider. To motorize the slider again, it's as simple as attaching the motor onto one end using 2 thumb screws. It's completely toolless, doesn't require touching the belt at all. And the most mind-boggling thing for me is how there's no need at all to calibrate the endpoints after you attach the motor. Regardless of what position the cart is in when you install the motor, it always knows to ramp down precisely when the cart reaches the endpoint. No grinding past the endpoints, no annoying calibration process every time you start this up. You just turn the power on and it is ready to roll. I've got no clue how they're achieving this. I don't see any sensors. It's very, very impressive. You'll notice on my slider, I've also got this pan and tilt axis thing going on here. I should make it clear that this is a separate product called the Pons PT. This is not included with the Micro 3 slider, but should you choose to get it, it is compatible with the Micro 3's motor, meaning once you set everything up in the Zeapon Lab mobile app, you get this 3-axis motorized slider. The thing about this setup is while its movement speed is not particularly fast, it does have a good amount of torque for the horizontal axis as well as the pan axis. The slider's horizontal axis has a payload of 12 kilograms, which is more than enough for most setups. The pan axis for the Pons PT has this massive payload of 50 kilograms, but the tilt axis is rated at only 4 kilograms, so this is the one you're going to have to be mindful about. But if you're using it with a mirrorless camera, it's almost always going to be just fine. I was curious about how precise and repeatable the movements are with this 3-axis setup, and it turns out to be superb. It repeats each move with enough precision to pull off these moving match cut shots. I also wanted to see if it's stable enough for macro work, and it held up really well. The footage I'm showing has no amount of stabilization, not even in-body or in-lens stabilization. The slow, precise moves are a particular strong suit on the Micro 3. On the motor itself, you get 3 speed settings. At its faster setting, moving the slider end to end, which is 107 centimeters of travel on my unit, takes roughly 23 seconds. The medium setting did it in 34 seconds, and the slower setting, 68 seconds. You can actually have it go much slower if you control it using the app. At 1% speed, it actually takes 18 minutes to travel its full length. It almost looks like it's not moving, but it is, just very slowly. One behavior I did notice is the maximum travel speed is halved if you've got a 3-axis move going on with the Pons PT. So that's something to keep in mind. Setting keyframes in the app is also very simple. Just move it into position and mark it as a point. If you have intermediate keyframes between your start and end marks, it will come to a stop before it continues onwards. If you want to do keyframes involving more than one axis, then you really need the app. But say you just want to automate a move that's just a single axis horizontal slide, you can do it relatively easy from the slider itself. You double press the power button to mark your point A, jog the cart to point B, then double press it again. The next time you double press the power button, it executes the move. When it's motorized, I wouldn't consider this a particularly noisy slider, but the motors certainly are audible at higher speeds, like right now. If you turn down the speed of the motor, it does get quite a lot quieter. So if you're planning to use this, say for an interview shot, I'd say it's feasible as long as you dial the speed down a bit and your mic is a good distance away from the slider. For such a well-designed slider, it's actually priced quite modestly. The shortest non-motorized variant starts at $399. It slowly works its way up to $739 for this E1000, which is the longest variant with one motor included. The Pons PT pan and tilt units are roughly an additional $600. These are completely optional, but with the Micro 3, they have been an amazing machine for my B-roll shots. I'd like to end with one more detail which I found to be a super nice touch on the Micro 3, and that's the carrying case it comes with has an illustration on the inside which shows you how to arrange the items back the way they left the case. This is something I absolutely needed in my life, but that's it for today. Purchase links below if you're interested, and I'll see you around.